Singapore's unemployment has remained steady at 1.9% in the first 3 months of this year. But the slow global economic recovery means less demand for goods and services. That means fewer people are needed to produce them. One segment of the labour force in particular is most vulnerable to retrenchments.
The redundancy rate for PMEs since 2012 is actually the highest among all occupational categories.
But these days you have to change your mindset. It's not just learn, work and retire. You're going to learn, work, and then retire.
Then there are other threats like robots.
You know, it's a bit the same when computers have come. A lot of jobs have been lost due to computers.
So some retrenched professionals, managers and executives, or PMEs, are resorting to becoming their own boss. But first, vulnerable PMEs. If you are one of them, how do you stay ahead in today's competitive job market? Singapore's unemployment rate has steadied at 1.9% from January to March this year, but this is the highest first quarter redundancy rate since 2009. Slow economic growth globally and Singapore's own economic restructuring put jobs at risk, especially PMEs, who make up more than half of Singapore's workforce. Out of the 4,710 made redundant in the first quarter, 71% were PMETs.
Actually overtaken those of other occupational categories like clerical, sales and service workers and so on. And that's a very worrying thing because unlike the other occupational categories, you'd expect that PMEs are the most highly qualified and most highly trained.
According to NTUC UPME Centre, more are coming to them to find new jobs. They saw 446 cases in 2014. That spiked to 870 cases in 2015. This year, they've already seen 344 cases as of April. 77% of PMEs looking for employment were aged 40 and above. So why are they the hardest hit?
It's cyclical. I think because of the global uncertainty, many of the positions are actually PME positions. With disruptive technology, innovation as well as the Internet of Things, many of the new jobs created require new skill sets as well as new training and capabilities. And it's not easy to train a PME overnight to take on these positions. And therefore, in a way, there's a skills gap in that sense.
I went to a PME job fair organised by the Employment and Employability Institute, or E2I, to talk to some job seekers.
How long have you been looking for a job?
About 1 year already.
1 year already?
Yeah.
Okay, has it been quite difficult to find a job?
I should say it's quite difficult because the manufacturing are slimmed down. So that's the concern. I never go to other areas.
It's been like 4 months plus. I've been sending my resumes through job search in the internet. Not many response.
The company not performing well, so asked to retrench.
Basically, since August 2015, last year, I had just submitted all my resumes, but I couldn't secure any interviews.
It's not unusual for employees to get left behind, especially in the fast-changing landscape of the technology sector, like Adrian.
For Adrian, his most recent job loss was his third in the past 7 years. He was first retrenched in 2010.
At that time, I was, up on the 20-plus floor up at Suntec Tower 3. Really nice view of, the F1 pit and everything. Lo and behold, the world comes crashing at the end of the year. It was really a big blow, a big challenge, I must say, to any individual who's climbed the corporate ladder. Well, I've got a new job. That took me about close to 10 months. 9-10 months, yeah. I guess it's such that as the higher you are in the corporate ladder, and when you fall, that fall can hurt quite a bit. So it required a lot of readjusting of my expectations, both in terms of the role, the scope, of course the remuneration. So that required a lot of giving on my part. That role didn't last for more than 8 months.
Adrian took 10 to 12 months to find his next job. After 2 years, he was retrenched for the third time.
after repeated similar events, I guess I have woken up. And it's not about wallowing in one's sorrow. It's about getting up, picking up yourself, looking at opportunities to reskill yourself, find out where your strengths are, build upon those strengths.
Rapid changes in the business world mean employees like Adrian can get left behind, especially when new technologies join the fray.
Automation has already claimed jobs. The question is,
Hello, children.
as robots become more advanced, will more jobs succumb? I went to the Nanyang Technological University to meet Professor Nadia Thalmann and Nadine, the humanoid robot.
So Prof. Nadia, thanks for speaking with us. Let me start off with the first question. What is a robot?
A robot is a machine, in fact, that is embodied with a shape. So, in fact, it could be a car, or it could be a drone. So, in fact, is a machine that has some automatic functions.
Okay, but then if you add on artificial intelligence, we've all heard that term before. What is artificial intelligence?
Now, if we speak of AI robots or robots that have more intelligence, in this case, these robots have to behave. That they have to speak, they have to recognize people, they need to have the right attitude in the right moment, they have to take decision, right decision. So all that is more mental robots. So it's social and mental robots. So let's say it's more a new category of robots.
I'm not into that.
And I got to meet Nadine, the world's first most human-like robot. She makes eye contact, smiles, waves, and remembers conversations from previous chats.
Well, I haven't had a chance to speak with Nadine yet, so maybe you can introduce me to her?
Yes, with pleasure. Hello, Nadine.
Hi, it's delightful to see you.
I'd like to introduce Stephen.
Hi Nadine, I'm Stephen. How old are you?
I look 30, but I'm only 3 years old.
What is your job?
I am a receptionist. I can help and assist people.
Do you like to exercise?
Nice. Nadia, I'm not sure if I'd like to exercise that much. I like to collect gossip.
What are some of the jobs that they are likely to take away from people?
So a few of them may be receptionists. For example, Nadine will act as a receptionist starting next month here. So she will see people, recognize who it is, and we have developed the hands. In order she's able, we give her a document, she will take it, read it, because it's a computer, so keep it in the file. So you see, she will do it perfectly and maybe better than a standard receptionist. Nadine could be also trained in the next future to serve in a restaurant. As soon as she has the hands, she can recognize objects, she could bring the plates, you know. So all this basic work that are repetitive once you know, I think the robots will be able to do.
So these robots, could they be effective in the next 5 years?
In 5-10 years, sure, they will be effective. So in this case, what hopefully government should do is really to train these people to another kind of jobs where the robots are not there.
Coming up next, Adrian ropes in E2I in his job hunt, a centre that helps job seekers.
Earlier, we met Adrian, a PME who has been searching for a job for the past 7 months. He heads to UPME's centre at E2I's Career Services Centre to meet Kristen, a career coach. Kristen will assess his current employability and recommend courses that will improve his chances of nabbing a job. All free of charge, as long as you're a Singaporean or permanent resident in Adrian's position. You too can tap on the centre's services.
Those clients that walk into our career centres, 1 in 2 are actually the PMETs. We see a mix of those that are employed and unemployed. In terms of the age profile, more than 50% are 40 years and above. So for a client that visit us, we usually track them over a 6 months period. So success rate is about 50 to 60%. Could be jobs that they found on their own, or could be through our coaching assistance or training interventions, they actually found something on their own.
If you look at the National Jobs Bank, there are more than 60,000 jobs available, and there are a variety of jobs. But many of these jobs requires new skill sets as well as experience, particularly in the ICT sector. Previously, you can just learn, work, and then you retire. But these days, you have to change your mindset. It's not just learn, work, and retire. You're going to learn, work, and then retire. So it's going to be a lifelong learning process.
One of the schemes under the Adapt and Grow initiative is the Career Support Program. It is a limited wage support scheme to encourage employers to hire PMETs, which started in October 2015. Employers willing to offer retrenched PMETs a salary of $4,000 and above get a subsidy for up to a year. This is open to Singaporeans aged 40 and above. And a scheme to help PMEs upgrade their skill is Skills Future. From January this year, all Singaporeans above the age of 25 receive an initial credit of $500 to enroll in skills-related courses. According to the WDA, more than 400,000 Singaporeans have started using their credits for more than 12,000 courses available online and in classrooms. Training providers see more and more PMEs taking up courses to hedge their bets for the future, even in industries completely different from what they're doing now.
No, we have a nice door.
The Asian Culinary Institute has seen even architects and business owners switch to F&B mid-career.
If you work in an office environment, you're typically working Mondays to Fridays. In the restaurant sector, typically you're most busy on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. So it's not only a switch in terms of the work to the back of house, but also in terms of your working hours.
But how can attending a course actually boost your CV or translate to clinching a job?
For now, most of the courses you get a certificate of completion. In our culture, that seems to be the case where employers are looking for certification, assessments, and how do I know you're good, right? Just telling me that when you complete a course doesn't tell me that you're competent in that sense. But going forward, Udemy, even together with us, we are looking at how to create this part of the assessment and make it available for the learners. And hopefully that can satisfy the requirements of the industry as well as the learners.
Some worry that older workers are not jumping on the upgrade bandwagon fast enough.
I find the speed of lifelong learning got to move a bit faster than what it was done 30 years ago. When I first joined the industry, at that point in time, we were basically sent for courses from time to time to upgrade our skills. So you got to take ownership of your own destiny. And you got to basically plan what courses you want to take.
I think with existing members of the workforce, PMEs and older workers, they have much less lead time to prepare for the challenges they're in because they're already in the labor market. With older workers and PMEs who are already highly qualified, the question of how much training they need and how much more they need to make up for the qualifications that they already have is not an easy one.
So are the schemes put forth by the government enough to help older PMEs?
I personally feel the government schemes may not suffice by itself. In society, it's a sad fact that we have an aging population, a growing number of PMEs in the workforce, and they may be looking for jobs, so we need to be open to hiring them.
Back to Adrian's visit to E2I. A typical visit to the UPME Centre to meet a career coach will take 45 to 60 minutes. But before you head to the centre, remember to bring your resume and cover letter.
Research, do everything. The session I had today was rather useful in the sense that we were able to dialogue. I got affirmation for some of the action that I'm taking, and that really is what we who are in this situation need at this point in time. Right? I mean, there was no guarantee of any placement or anything of that sort, but it was more to say, hey, I think you're on the you're moving in the right direction. Just keep going. It's important for me to be open and try new things. So I'm very open, and I am exploring part-time ad hoc work to keep myself busy and also to bring in some income.
Coming up, how disruptive innovations create a different set of opportunities for unemployed PMEs.
Freelancers actually is a manifestation of a sharing economy, if you ask me.
The international freelancer industry is booming. According to a 2014 report from global freelancing platform Upwork, 3.5 million freelancers were registered on their site. And in 2013, the freelancers made a combined total of $285 million in earnings from stints in administrative support, design, marketing and finance.
Temporary work is catching on in Singapore. NTUC Assistant Secretary General Ang Hin Kee cites a conservative estimate of 200,000 freelancers in Singapore and expects this number to grow. One local website claims to have more than 18,000 employers who are recruiting. How many of these jobs are temporary? And how open are all the PMEs to embrace a transient gig economy?
We are seeing trends of PMEs, particularly those who are in between jobs. It could be retrenched or unemployed or looking to new positions or want better control of their time, do take up freelance positions during the interim.
One such person is 47-year-old Lily Koh. Lily first ventured into the IT industry by accident in 1991. After 7 years, together with her husband, they both opted to work overseas. 5 years later, their contracts terminated and both husband and wife moved back home, out of jobs.
When I came back, it was hard for me to move back into the IT industry. Kids came along, and the long working hours in the IT industry just didn't seem to fit into my life of trying to be a mom and to be good at work and to be a good wife as well. So that was when I first explored the idea of doing something that allows me more flexibility.
Lily remembered how enjoyable an image consulting course she had attended back in 1997 was. She decided this was the industry for her and set out to gain the necessary skills.
My trainer was very understanding. I was also pregnant then, so you can imagine daytime you have to work 9 to 5, and then after that with this huge tummy and then I go for my night classes.
Armed with her new qualifications, Lily started sourcing for clients, but the early days weren't easy.
As a freelancer, I think our income is very irregular. Some months when we do get lots of work, it's a good, easily 20K. And then some months when you have no jobs, we could be staying at home and shaking legs and maybe eat porridge.
According to Lily, she typically only receives payment within 45 days of completing a gig. There are clients who take even longer than that to make payment.
Sometimes it's not just late payment, it's partial payment or non-payment, and I think that arises when there's no upfront payment or there was no regular monthly payment. Then the person who hired them will try and say, I'm sure it's negotiable, right?
But payment woes aren't the only challenges faced by freelancers.
When I first got my freelance contract, so I looked at it and said, hey, this is actually very different from what it is like to be working for big organizations, whereby CPF is provided for, medical benefits are being covered. And I look at it now, hey, I've got nothing.
Other problems would be things like what's the scope of work? In the course of it, the employer says, oh, could you do this as well? Could you do that as well, right? But all for the same fee that we agreed at the start. Of course, another thing that freelancers should look out for is the ability to work for others. So for example, if their idea is that they should be able to work for others during the job that they're doing, that should be clearly agreed. And certainly they should be free to work for others after the job is over.
In its 2014 report, Upwork also reported that Singapore was the top Asian market for freelance talent online. For employers, hiring freelancers comes with its perks, allowing companies to tap onto external expertise for different projects and manage cost efficiencies.
Basically, we can reduce the cost by hiring freelancers so that we can manage the spike in business as and when we need it.
On average, up to 60% of Boon Siong's workforce are freelancers, mostly PMEs, who act as consultants to his clients.
For us, actually, we tell them very honestly, we are SME, we can never match what they used to get paid, probably if they are a senior HR director of a company. But what we do is that we share with them in terms of how we cost the project, how much we charge our client, and what's their share.
However, there may be hazards lurking for those new to the scene. Those hoping to shorten their working hours are in for a surprise. According to a report by the Ministry of Manpower, freelancers work almost as long hours as contract employees do in a usual week. The report also says that 1 in 2 freelancers earn $1,999 or less each month. By contrast, the ratio of employees earning $1,999 or less is 1 in 4.
And from a company perspective, what we can do for them is to make the deliverables clearer and also being cognizant of the fact that they're at the bottom of the food chain. So sometimes we even have to remind them, at the end of the day, you must declare this in your personal income tax. But many of them are not cognizant of this fact.
And in terms of legal protections, in fact, there's virtually none. Freelancers not being employees aren't covered under the Employment Act, actually can't form a trade union. So NTUC has a freelance and self-employed unit, which, for example, private hire cars, they form the National Private Hire Vehicles Association. So it covers Uber drivers, Grab drivers. But as to whether this association, which is ultimately a society, is going to have the same bargaining power and the same legal heft as a union remains to be seen, I think.
The challenge in a freelance arrangement is unlike a typical employer-employee relationship. They are providing what we call a contract for service. They are not covered under the Work Injury Compensation Act. So if they are injured in the course of work, they do not have protection under our labour legislation. So NTUC and the labour movement is exploring how we can better protect these freelancers.
Having freelanced for more than 10 years, Lily can't imagine returning to the confines of full-time employment. We asked her for her advice to new freelancers.
If you could expand your network or even be associated with an organization, I think it helps because it helps to build that credential and give you a little bit more support. Because as a freelancer, it's so easy to lapse into passivity. Yeah, just sitting back at home. Today I'm not feeling good, I don't want to go out to meet people, and then it could move from a day to weeks and then to months and nothing's going to happen, and from so-called freelancing it becomes really nothing.